Viewpoint from overseas. I'm your host Faraz Darvesh. We have several different topics with us on the table. First, we'll discuss the India-China standoff in Doklam, which is a part of Bhutan. So the question becomes, if it is a part of Bhutan, then what is Indian Army doing there? We'll discuss in deep and take a deep dive. Then we'll discuss the Pakistani media and political parties' role during the Supreme Court's hearing about the Panama case. Third, we will go over to, unfortunately, Senator John McCain has been diagnosed with brain cancer, and we pray for his speedy recovery, and we will see what will be the impact of this on the political arena. In the end, we will discuss the OECD data, which shows Indian among the top asylum seekers, and Riaz Haq has recommended this topic, and we'll discuss. I have with me Misbah Azam and Riaz Haq. So tell us, Misbah, the India-China standoff at Doklam, which happens to be a part of Bhutan. If it is a part of Bhutan, then what is Indian Army doing there, and what is going on between China and India?
Yeah, actually this is rather surprising. This thing suddenly started, and there are some very interesting statements from Indian side and from Chinese side. India is showing some kind of their assertion there. They're asserting something by saying that, boasting something, that saying that, well, we are not 1962 India, and China responded, well, we are not 1962 China as well. So the main reason is that they had this issue going on from actually much before. Actually it started from middle of 19th century when the boundaries were created, the Johnson boundary in the Exai area, and this McMahon line was created in this area, and this Arunachal Pradesh was basically disputed territory, and Exai over there is a disputed territory. See, now the situation is that basically the Indians are kind of saying that since we have some kind of military pact with Bhutan, so if anything will happen in Bhutan, Indian Army is going to help them. Okay. So this thing, which is close to the Sikkim, and if you can see it, this area is close to the Siliguri corridor, which is called as the chicken neck basically. And if you can see that if somehow that is being cut, if that is being taken over by India, it is only like 12 miles wide. It's not too much too wide. Corridor is Bangladesh, and top is basically the Sikkim and all those areas. So if you just cut the northeastern states of India, will be totally cut off from there. Okay. So India has a little paranoia about that area, but the thing is that that area, that particular area, has nothing directly to do with India. India is only going there so that they say that we have a pact there. And now the things are getting a little bit heated up in that area, and the problem is that if there is a war, I mean the main loser,
which we hope not.
Right. Which we hope not, but the main loser will be India. But a very interesting thing happened that some time ago, it is being in the media, foreign media, that President Xi secretly gave this deal to Mr. Modi that if they can relinquish their claim on Exai, so we will quietly leave you with Arunachal Pradesh. But instead of responding, Indian government sent Dalai Lama in Arunachal Pradesh, and kind of provoked China there. So basically it started
Riaz, you tell us, first tell me what is really going on, and tell us, will it have any implication on Pakistan?
Yeah, I think Misbah covered that pretty well, that this is an area that is close to the Siliguri corridor, which is also known as the Chicken's Neck. That's a vulnerable part of India. It's a very narrow corridor that connects the northeastern states of India with the rest of India. But I think what's happening here is that it seems to me that Mr. Modi is trying to do some muscle flexing. If you remember, in 1962 there was a war between India and China, and It is believed, in fact, Henry Kissinger in his book on China has written about it in detail, about what happened. What Henry Kissinger has said is that the Indians were basically pushing Nehru's forward policy.
Okay.
What that meant was that the Indian troops were aggressively moving in forward positions close to the areas that are disputed with China. And first they moved a few miles, and then the Chinese, in fact, Mao Zedong decided, hey, we don't want to start a war here, so the Chinese pulled back. And then that created an impression in India that hey, the Chinese were not going to respond. Let's go further in. And as soon as they went further into China, the Chinese struck back and struck back hard. Okay. And then the rest is history. The Indian military lost very badly. It was a very humiliating defeat. So essentially, it was a result of a miscalculation.
Okay.
There seems to be something similar going on right now, where Mr. Modi thinks that the Chinese are not going to go to war on this, and they're pushing their luck. They're pushing the Indian troops in more forward positions. And that is creating a very serious situation between the two countries.
Okay. And will it have any implication on Pakistan?
Well, not immediately. But I think if the Chinese and Indians go to war, it will further increase hostility between the two countries. And that could basically encourage Pakistan as well to do something in Kashmir. So I think you never know what's going to happen, because these things have a way of spiraling out of control. That sometime you start with a certain calculation as to how you're going to manage this conflict, and it gets completely out of hand. So it could get pretty ugly if the players don't pull back.
Okay.
See, it was very interesting that Mr. Jinnah, Qaid-e-Azam we call him, he said once some of his interview or something that India, he was kind of talking about Monroe's doctrine inside India-Pakistan kind of thing he was giving there. That if India will have any issue, then Pakistan will help, and vice versa. So in 1962 war, what happens that Nehru kind of complained that since your father of the nation said that to us, that you will be helping us, but you did not help. So Ayub Khan responded that yes, we did help by not getting into the war, by not taking over Kashmir, by not taking over Chicken's Neck, and then cutting your northeastern states. So now the situation is different, because see, that time what happens, that at one hand, while Pakistan was, for whatever reason that could be, but for one hand, Pakistan was preventing itself going into this bloody war where India for sure would have lost, a big thing. At the same time, this Agartala things were growing inside Agartala in Western Bengal or somewhere, I don't remember which state it is, where this kind of, they were kind of asking the subversive activities inside East Pakistan.
In Tripura.
Yeah, in Tripura, that is correct. Thank you, Riaz. So, so it was a very, very damaging blow on Pakistan that we tried to stay out from your war, but you were constantly doing that. Now think about it. You just be hypothetical for a moment. If Pakistan would have helped, if China and Pakistan with a combined effort using the East Pakistan Rifle and Chinese army, they cut that thing, there would be no debacle of East Pakistan then. India would be broken that time. Then it was not possible.
So you're saying that was a historical mistake by Ayub Khan?
It was a historical mistake. I mean, if I see it, if I be a little bit very aggressive, and I can see, like if I look at the world history, the thing is that in the military strategy, you do not lose any opportunity. That's what exactly India did.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think I agree with that. And I think the other thing that's important is that there is really no match between India and China at this point. I mean, they certainly both have nuclear weapons. But other than that, there is a vast difference in terms of the power of the two countries. If you look at For example, India versus China economy. The Chinese economy is like 6 times larger than India's. And also, if you look at the military budget, China has a 3 times larger military budget than India. Also, if you look at the trade between the two countries, there is something like a $51 billion trade deficit that India is running right now with China. India buys like $61 billion worth of stuff from China, and China buys like $10 billion worth of stuff from India.
Right.
So China and India, there's also a kind of mutual dependence. In fact, India is much bigger. You know, there was just a piece I saw in, I think it was in one of the Indian newspapers, that, you know, India is basically hollowed out inside by the Chinese exports to India. A lot of the things that they used to make in India are now no longer being made in India because they're not cost competitive. They're being exported from China. They're buying everything in like plastics and carpets and windows. A lot of these kinds of things that used to support industries. So in fact, the balance, the power balance is so much in favor of China that it's going to be very hard for India to sustain any kind of battle.
Let's move to the next topic. We're running out of time.
Just very quickly, that a lot of Indians, they claim that in 1962, why China stopped, did not go further in the war, is because that they knew that there is a Calcutta air base, there is Indian Air Force was ready to attack, you know. However, it is not entirely true. If Chinese were attacked by Air Force, obviously Chinese Air Force would come in picture and Pakistan would have involved in it.
So let's go into the second topic, which is the Pakistani media and political parties' role during the Supreme Court hearing of this Panama case. So now, Misbah, how do you see this? Has the media or has the political parties of both sides, PTI as well as the PMLN, have played any positive role in managing this?
Well, actually, if you look
Yeah.
at the media, you know, I hardly see it now. I mean, there is no point in seeing it. You know that any single particular anchor, what he or she is going to say that. So there is, you're not gonna,
Okay, so you're
not gonna learn
they all have made up their mind. They all have.
Yeah, they all made their mind. One is
made sure who they
exactly.
support.
And the anchor, this side of the anchor, bring their, you know, like-minded. Other side of anchor, bring their like-minded. Other than obviously there are some exceptions. So, and as far as political party, you know, they are just getting outside the Supreme Court and passing the verdicts. I mean, and it is just amazing that how Supreme Court is letting this thing go. You know, why
you are saying Supreme Court is not being just?
It's not just or anything. Supreme Court just should say that. What is just?
I'm just saying,
they should say both of them. Anybody. And that, okay, you just stop doing these courts, and because see, by law, you know, I mean, if something is sub judice and I am saying Supreme Court is going to do that, so I am virtually in a contempt of court. So if Supreme Court will say stop doing this kind of insanity, it will not happen then.
Okay, Riaz.
Yeah, I think the media is fairly partisan. If you watch one particular channel or anchor, it looks like, you know, these are Nawaz Sharif's final days in power. If you watch another anchor on a different channel, you'll find that, hey, you know, he's got a strong case. There's no way that he's going to be disqualified or let go. So this is what you get from the media. As far as the political parties are concerned, it's interesting, you know, they keep talking about conspiracies and dharnas, dharna 1, dharna 2. What they forget is that in the last dharna that happened, in fact, Nawaz Sharif had almost unanimous support of all of the major political parties with the exception of PTI.
Okay.
Now they saw that what was being done, they were trying to drive Nawaz Sharif out of office by using the street power,
right,
which was clearly, you know, against the Constitution. You know, the Constitution process was not being followed. So they all stood with Nawaz Sharif, said, no, we're not going to let this happen. And they actually, you know, people like Ehtijaj Hassan and the People's Party, they stood up and said, you know, stand up to it, Nawaz Sharif, we're with you.
Okay.
Nawaz Sharif, aage badho, hum tumhare saath. This is the kind of the thing that you were hearing. But today, that's not the case. And the reason for it is that there is actually a due process being followed. This is not some dharna or some conspiracy by military or somebody else that is aiming to unseat Nawaz Sharif. It is actually happening in the courts. And the courts are going to, the top court actually in the country, Supreme Court is going to listen to both sides and then make a decision as to what should be done.
So you were saying, Riaz, that Nawaz Sharif does not enjoy support this time. And this time you're seeing that the due process is being followed, hence you don't foresee.
See, the fear,
okay.
Whenever there is any government is being threatened and there is instability, the biggest fear is that, is this another attempt by the military to try and remove a constitutional
so you don't see that conspiracy.
Head of state, the head of government? And when that happens, the politicians usually get together like we saw the last time. The politicians did stand up together. They don't see that now. If they saw that, I would be absolutely certain that People's Party would be standing with Nawaz Sharif rather than standing
if there
against
was a
him.
conspiracy.
If they saw a conspiracy.
Okay, there is so Riaz just explained.
No, I agree that last time it was very clear that there are some other forces and hidden forces, and this and People's Party. Mr. Zardari knew if democracy will be toppled that time, because Imran Khan openly saying that we have an empire coming and raising finger and all. So this time this is not the case. This time everybody, and military did something very smart that, they took the foreign policy in their hand. No, that is fine. We can argue on that. But the smart thing they did, they came out and they say, okay, we have nothing to do with JIT, nothing. They asked one person, we gave it to them and they did their work. Supreme Court has to decide, and Supreme Court is the one who is responsible of putting those people in. We did not do it. So I don't see that military as an institution is behind any kind of conspiracy here. If that was the case, you would have seen things very different at this time.
Okay, let's move to the next topic, and I want to discuss the unfortunate news of Senator John McCain, who's been diagnosed with brain cancer. Tell me, first of all, it's an unfortunate news. But what will be the implication on the politics, and how do you see this?
Yeah, first I think I should say that Senator McCain has rendered great service for this country. He not only served in the Navy as a Navy pilot during the Vietnam War. He was held as a prisoner for a long time, and he suffered torture. And then he became senator. He was also a presidential candidate, and he's a man of principles. When people asked him questions about, Obama being Muslim and condemning, Obama based on his religion, he said, no, he's a patriot. We shouldn't talk about Obama in those terms. So I think he's a real patriot. He is a very, a great American. It's very sad that he has this very aggressive form of cancer. It's called glioblastoma, which also took the life of Senator Ted Kennedy a few years ago. And then also, I think another victim, more recent victim of this disease was Beau Biden, the son of former Vice President Joe Biden. And this is it actually spreads very quickly. It's the kind of cancer that people think, I heard a number of physicians talk about it, say maybe he's got maybe a year and a half to live. That's the big fear. The immediate effect of it is going to be, has already been that the healthcare bill that President Trump was trying to push has been pulled back. First, they were hoping that he'd come and he'd vote for it, but then that hope went away. At the same time, a number of other senators pulled out of it. They said, we're not going to vote for this bill. So that's been the immediate impact of it.
Ms. Bazan.
Yeah, actually, as you guys know, that I lived in Arizona for 16, 17, 18 years almost, and he was always, as a senator, I voted him all the time, And it was a very sad day for me when I found out, because like as Riaz just said, that it gives maybe, doctors say just 16 months is the maximum time So I would just pray for in everything
for his speedy recovery and
for
miracles to
recovery
happen.
and healthy life.
Right. Okay.
And we all have to die one day, but so.
Right. So I'm going to move to the next topic. The OECD data, which Rayaz you recommend with this topic, the OECD data shows that Indian among the top 5 asylum seeker, and I'm googling this, and I kind of see that first top countries: Syria, Afghanistan, Albania, Iraq, and I don't see India.
Yeah, that's old data. This recent report came out. But OECD, by the way, is the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development.
Okay.
That is essentially an organization of the rich industrialized countries of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Its members are mostly countries of Americas and Western Europe, and the other members are South Korea and Japan
And Turkey.
and Turkey. So that's the organization, and they publish this report on an annual basis. It's called the International Migration Report. So the latest one, the one that came out for 2017, says that there are, India is one of the top 5 countries in terms of asylum seekers in OECD countries.
Which are the other countries?
The other countries are...
There are 35 countries.
Which are the top 5 on
The top 5 are, India, China, Syria, Romania, and Poland.
Pakistan is not there?
No.
It's not in the top 5.
Not top
In
five.
some countries, I saw Pakistan as among the top 5, but overall in the world, it's not in top 5. Now, Syria makes sense because Syria has had such a terrible war. A lot of people. Then you have Romania. There's a lot of persecution of the Romani people. What do you call them? The gypsies. They're persecuted, so that makes sense. And China, obviously, there is religious persecution in China. But I think India is there now, and it seems like it could get worse for India because some people are now calling it Lynchistan, where there are so many lynchings on an almost regular.
Okay.
Just today, I saw a latest report. There was a family of 10, a Muslim family of 10 that was going on a train, and they were viciously attacked by a Hindu radical mob. So this is happening more frequently, and it may drive some of the people, it may force them out of the country. So I think things are getting worse. There was also another report that I saw that says that there's been a dramatic increase in religious violence in India.
Okay.
In fact, they now categorize India as worse than Pakistan in terms of religious violence.
Yeah, actually UNHCR claims that there are 40 countries in the world where they find out that Indians are the highest asylum seeker, and most of them are students.
Could it have to do with population too?
Yeah, but I think
But China is also very
the
high
problem is
population.
that people don't leave just because there's a large population. People leave because there's something bothering them.
Yeah.
For example, at one time there was a lot of Sikhs leaving India when there was there was a crackdown by Indira Gandhi, and then later on when there was this 1984 Sikh massacre when Sikhs were pulled out of trains and buses and killed on the streets of Delhi.
Yeah,
So these things happen because of something that is happening, that is changing in the country, not because just because there are more people there.
And also not only this persecution, but there are other problems also, because according to UNHCR there are a lot of large number of those people who are the students and the low wage workers. So economic refugees virtually.
I mean, they can't find jobs in India.
But students, they just want to do it because they don't want to go back to India, and that is
that is
surprising
a
for
poverty
me.
situation.
Whatever, maybe job situation. Because see, that was a little surprising for me, because the way in Western media we see India as some kind of becoming Switzerland very soon or something like that. Although our Indian friends disagree with that, But of course, you never know that what is the reality.
Okay, closing remarks. Riyaz. Okay, audience, thank you for watching Viewpoint from overseas. We'll be back next week with more topics.